We'll continue with economics, A level, chapter 4, revenue. When we talk about revenue, we're simply talking about the total receipts a firm is able to make through the sales of its goods. So a firm has sold certain goods. So the amount of money it receives in the course of selling these things, these goods or services are called revenue. Do you get what revenue is here now? Okay. So here I wrote revenue. It's the firm's receipt of money from the sale of goods and services over a period of time. So we call it revenue because you have made money from the sales of your product or your service. So we have three types of revenue. We have the total revenue, we have the average revenue, and the marginal revenue. So we're going to start with the total revenue. For total revenue, it simply means the price multiplied by the quantity sold. Price multiplied by what? Quantity sold. So here I wrote, total revenue is the total amount of money received from the sales of any given level of output. The sale of any given level of output. So whatever you have sold, the amount of money you receive from whatever you have sold is your total revenue. So that's why it is P multiplied by Q, price multiplied by quantity sold. I think total revenue is clear. Total revenue clear, please?
Yes.
Great. Then we have what we call the average revenue. For average revenue, we're talking about total revenue divided by the quantity sold. That's TR divided by Q. So here I wrote, average revenue is the average amount received per unit sold. So we want to know the amount received for each unit that we sell. And to know the amount we receive for each unit, we have to divide the amount we make, the total revenue, divided by the quantity sold. So that is why AR is TR divided by Q. I think it's clear. Is it clear, please? And the last form of revenue we have is what we call the marginal revenue. And what is marginal revenue? This is the additional amount received from selling an extra unit of output. So that is why it is marginal. It is marginal because it is the additional money you receive from the sales of an extra unit of output. Any question about that?
No.
So for marginal revenue, the formula for marginal revenue is TR2 minus TR1. So that means a change in total revenue divided by a change in the quantity. Are you with me?
Yes.
Great. So that's about that. So look at, we have table 1 here. Are you with me?
Yes.
So for table 1, we have the sales, the average revenue, the total revenue, and the marginal revenue. I told you that total revenue is price multiplied by quantity sold, right? So here we have, they said, okay, let's say they said, for example, if total revenue was 900 million, okay, I'm trying to find. So these are sales, and this is average revenue, and this is the total revenue. So for one sale, we have, that means the price of this product, let's assume it's 5. So if the price of this product, but wait, let's say, okay. Table 1, the price, okay, yeah, the price is 1. The price is 5. So for one product sold, the average revenue, the total revenue is 5. And the average revenue is what? Total revenue divided by output. So 5 divided by 1 will give us 5. So here we are looking at, the table we are looking at here is showing us that there's a constant price irrespective of the output. So if the price is constant, that means our marginal revenue and our average revenue will be the same. If the price is constant, irrespective of the output, our marginal revenue and the average revenue will be what? Will be the same. I think the point is clear there. Any question about that?
No.
So now you know the formula for total revenue. It is price multiplied by quantity sold. Average revenue is total revenue divided by the quantity. And quantity sold there. And the marginal revenue is change in total revenue divided by change in quantity sold. Or TR2 minus TR1. Any question about that?
No.
Good. So that is about total revenue. So we're going to revenue curve now. So go to revenue curves. Are you there?
Yes.
Okay. For revenue curves, they represent the relationship between a firm's revenue and the quantity of output produced or sold. So we call it a revenue curve because it shows the relationship between the price of the product, which will relate to the revenue, and the quantity sold of the product. I think it's clear. So there are different curves. There are different revenue curves. There are different revenue curves. The first assumption is that the firm receives the same price for each good sold. Therefore, the average revenue and the marginal revenue will be the same. However, the total revenue will increase as sales increases. This implies that the total revenue curve is upward sloping. So we have what we call the revenue curve, which represents the relationship between the average revenue or relationship between the price of the product and the quantity sold. So how do we get the graph? There's always a graphical representation for this, and I'll show you now. So the graphical representation for a revenue curve. So there are two assumptions for revenue curve. The first assumption is that the price remains the same. If the price remains the same, it simply means that at each level of output sold, the marginal revenue and the average revenue will be unique. The only time our total revenue will increase is as the output sold increases. So we're going to have an upward slope in the total revenue, but an horizontal in terms of the marginal revenue and the average revenue. Get the point clear here. If the firm is selling at the same price, irrespective of the numbers of output, irrespective of the quantity sold, the average revenue and the marginal revenue, which is demand, will be the same. But the total revenue will increase as output increases. As sales increases, the total revenue will increase. But the average revenue and the marginal revenue will remain the same. That's why we have the graphical representation like this. So it is upward sloping for the total revenue. So as output increases, the total revenue increases. But for the average revenue and the marginal revenue, which is demand, will remain the same at each level of output. You sold 15 because the price is 5. You sold 15, the price is 5, you divide, you get the same. So for each level of output sold, you're going to have the same average revenue and marginal revenue. But the only thing that changes is the total revenue, which changes as the level of output changes. I think the point is clear. So that's the first assumption. So note, the average revenue curve is the demand curve because it represents the relationship between average price and the quantity sold. We call it average revenue because it divides the total revenue by the quantity sold. So when you look at total revenue and quantity sold, these are based on consumers. So if it is based on consumers, it is demand curve. So that's why the average revenue, the AR equals to the MR equals to the demand. They are all the same because they represent the price and the quantity sold. Any question about that? Okay. So in summary, I wrote, a constant price will bring about an increase in the total revenue as sales increases, and at the same time, the AR and MR will be the same at different level of sales. And I think you can see that in the graph also.
Yes.
At different levels of sales, our MR is the same, our AR is the same. Our AR is TR divided by quantity sold. Our MR is TR2 minus TR1. Look at your TR2 here. 10 minus 5 is 5. 15 minus 10 is 5. 20 minus 15 is 5. 25 minus 20 is 5. So the marginal revenue and the average revenue are the same because the price is constant. I think the point is clear now. Okay. So that we move on. Then the second assumption. So we have the graph, we have figure 1 and figure 2 for the graph. I think it's clear.
Yes.
Okay. Now, the second assumption. The second assumption is where a firm lowers its price in order to achieve higher sales. Based on the law of demand, the higher the price, the lower the quantity demanded. The lower the price, the higher the quantity demanded. So a firm might reduce its price to achieve higher sales, which means it's thinking about sales volume. Do you understand? So at that point in time, this will result into having a lower average revenue or average price of as sales get larger. So when you reduce the price of your products, as soon as you sell more, the total revenue will start dropping. At first, it will increase, but after a while, it starts dropping, and you're going to have a negative marginal revenue. Get the point here? Because you have reduced your price. Whatever you sell, as your sales increases, your total revenue will start falling because you would have lost a certain amount of money that you should have made if you didn't reduce the price. So the amount lost makes your total revenue to fall. Do you get the relationship here about revenue? Okay. So this implies that there's a loss in revenue, or that the loss in revenue having to accept a lower price is greater than the increase in revenue from extra sales. So because you are losing revenue based on the fact that you accepted to receive a lower price because you want to increase your sales. So that loss in revenue bring about a fall in the total revenue. Do you understand? Did you get it, please?
Yeah.
So this will bring about a negative marginal revenue as each unit sold brings in negative extra revenue. So I told you earlier, because you have accepted to sell at a reduced price, you're going to have a negative marginal revenue. And why are you going to have a negative marginal revenue? You're going to start having a negative marginal revenue because as soon as your sales increases to an extent, it will remain constant and start falling. And if it starts falling, your marginal revenue would fall. If your total revenue is falling, it is definitely your marginal revenue would fall. If your total revenue is increasing, your marginal revenue is going to increase. Do you understand?
Yes.
Okay. So the graphical representation of both TR and MR/AR are shown below. So this is it. Let's look at the total revenue when the price is falling. First, the total revenue increases, then gets to a stage at 6, it remains constant, then it starts dropping. So the total revenue would increase, get to a stage, it remains the same, then start falling. That stage that it remains the same, it's still that because the price of the product is price elastic. But as soon as it starts falling, it becomes inelastic. So this is the graphical representation of it. So a firm that wants to achieve higher sales will have its total revenue increase to some extent, then start falling. And for its marginal revenue and average revenue, they are downward slope. Look at it. They are downward slope, which means negative. I think you can see. So the analysis I wrote here is that the TR curve shows that the total revenue at first increases, then falls as sales increases and price falls. The average revenue and marginal revenue also falls as sales increases. So all will fall because you have reduced, you accepted to reduce your price. In summary, a lower price to achieve higher sales will first witness a rise in the total revenue. Then as sales increases, there will be a fall in the total revenue, and as a result, will bring about a negative marginal revenue. I think that is clear. Great. So that takes us to revenue. Okay, yeah, sorry, thank you. So that takes us to revenue and price elasticity. When we talk about price elasticity of demand, we're simply talking about the degree of responsiveness between the quantity demanded of a product as a result of a change in price. So for revenue and price elasticity, it is this. Because elasticity talks about elastic or inelastic. So if the demand for a product is price elastic, a rise in price will reduce the quantity sold, quantity demanded, and as a result of that, the total revenue is expected to fall. And do you understand what I'm saying here? And if the demand for a product is price inelastic, a rise in price will increase the total revenue. A fall in price will reduce the total revenue. Get it again. For a demand for a product that is price elastic, if the price increases, the total revenue would fall because the quantity demanded would fall. If the price falls, the total revenue would rise because the quantity demanded would rise. That is for a product that the demand is price elastic. On the other hand, if the demand for a product is price inelastic, a rise in price will increase the total revenue because irrespective of the price, the consumers will still buy. The only thing that will happen is that they will increase their spending because the demand for the product is price inelastic. So as soon as, because the price is inelastic, irrespective of the price, they're going to buy. So that increases your total revenue. But for a product that the demand
is elastic.
No, still okay. That is, let's talk about a product that the demand is price inelastic. If you reduce the price, your total revenue would fall because irrespective of the price, they're still going to buy. Now they will spend less. Do you understand? So that's the difference between a product that the price is the demand is price elastic and the product that the price is inelastic. If it is price elastic, a rise in price reduces the total revenue. A fall in price increases the total revenue. If it is price inelastic, a rise in price increases the total revenue. A fall in price reduces the total revenue. I think you understand revenue and price elasticity here. So then we have the explanation of table 2 and figure 3. Are you there?
Yeah.
Okay. Table 2, figure 3. I wrote it here. We have it here. So look at table 2, figure 3. At sales level of 6 units,
Average revenue is 15.
Table 2. The total revenue is what?
9.
It's 90 and the average revenue is 15. So look at it now. There's an increase in price from 5 to 6 here, right? So an increase in price from 5 to 6 increases what? The total revenue. Yes or no?
Yes.
So that means the demand for that product is what? Price
and elastic.
Elastic. Okay. So then when you look at all the sales above it, when the sales is less, 1, 2, 3, the total revenue reduces. So which means the price of the product is what? Price inelastic. Get the point here. If the price increases, the price, let's look at here from 6 units. At 5, the quantity sold. At 5, we have 90. At 6, we also have 90. Yes or no?
Yes.
But at the price of 5, the total revenue rises. At the price of 6, the total revenue remains the same. At the price of 7, the total revenue starts falling. I think you understand elastic and inelastic here. Any question about it?
No.
So that ends chapter 4,
Revenue.
your revenue. So we have some questions to do there.